9:42 in the morning, so let me show you so that you can be clear on what time it is. This is documentation regarding the kidnapping. It just turned 9:43. I started at 9:42. Starting this recording at 9:42 a.m. and what I've already captured for a prolonged, it's already on the record what the entity is doing on a daily basis, speaking to this very exact same specific environment, not the natural environment. Distinct method of maintaining engineered light inside of the private space or inside of any location where I'm located. And I've shown you the character of the light. It's not sunlight. This is the engineered light, a distinct method of stalking with light. Terrorism while it's inside of my private space, terrorism while it's inside of the workplace, which is my office that is downstairs. And by the way, not in alignment with my leasing office, where the entity is maintaining the light source over the leasing office that's downstairs at nearest building 1810. The entity's light source is maintaining alignment with my living room window, which is not in perfect alignment with the leasing office, which is in that direction. From the leasing office, if this was the sun, I would be at the leasing office downstairs, routinely turning my camera in this sort of direction to be toward the location of building 1806. That's not the case. The entity is maintaining the light source in perfect alignment with my location, which is called stalking with light. And you can see that the entity, the entire population, is group stalking together, and it's shown through what is the natural environment, not the ability for a whole bunch of people together to maintain presence all together, whether they're driving down Avalon, turning on to Effie, turning on to Brandon, turning on to Glendale. All they're doing is crossing paths with me all around. And this is a group that's engaging in this maintenance of presence no matter where it is that I go, including as I stay right here, and you're looking at the maintenance of a light source that is nowhere near at the same time at 9:42 in the morning, the Ovid Family Community Library, located at 215 East C Street in Ontario, California, where the entity was stalking by helicopter. And what you will observe through this documentation that I captured on this day is the entity is maintaining the specific environment. And I'm gonna, because my TV is loud, sorry. So the entity is maintaining engineered light on the floor. And I showed you already, the entity is maintaining engineered light inside of my apartment as well. This is not sunlight that's on the floor in the living room. This is engineered light, and it's also not the sun. I'm giving you an example where you can look at the light sources remaining in the same position where you're gonna see it outside of my living room, where you already know it's staying all day long. Here in LA, while I'm inside of apartment 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6, the sun is both rising and setting while I stay inside of the apartment. If I go to Walmart, okay, and not just because I just documented those demons, I'm gonna drain the pockets of Walmart. Walmart is a terrorist. Walmart is monitoring you. Walmart represents the people of the state. They make a lot of money. They are all over the country, and they are hostile to your constitutional rights. They are hostile to you. I wanna be clear, they serve Satan. That's why I'm capturing the entity stalking me, terrorizing me in a helicopter in the parking lot of third-party group stalker Walmart. Now, I'm using Walmart as an example because if I drive to Walmart, but I can use any location. If I drive to the mall, the Glendale Mall, the light source will engage in an outright departure from remaining present all day long, as I show you as I stay inside of my apartment. And that light source, as you've already seen, as I went to the California DMV, where, by the way, I am staying inside of the apartment. There's no sun that's going to be seen outside of my living room window while it is over my head as a matter of documentation at the Glendale DMV, en route over me for the duration of the ride back to my apartments, where it's impossible that I can look outside of my living room window and see the sun while it is literally over me outside of the passenger and driver side windows of the third-party Uber while I'm on the roads and the highways. And the people of the state are crossing path on the freeway. They're crossing path on Glenview, where the entity is stalking in concert. The Glendale Police Department are crossing path while the light source is over the DMV. It's not outside of my living room window at the Alvarado Gardens Apartments, facing the hillside. Okay, the entity is maintaining a light source clearly, and doing so while there is, as I'm showing you what's going on in Ontario, where this entity engaged in kidnapping, which is why, another reason why everybody's going to federal prison. You go to federal prison when you are engaged in this level of intolerable facilitation, meaning everybody living at Alvarado Gardens is going to federal prison. The federal government shall treat terrorism at this level, where you're engaging in that level, you're going to federal prison for that. Okay, but the entity also is going to federal prison because this entity engaged in kidnapping. You go to federal prison for that. Okay, while you are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, these are demons. Exercising fictitious authority as a police department, you're a stalker. Exercising fictitious authority as a sheriff's department, you're a stalker. Exercising fictitious authority as a courthouse, you're a stalker. You're group stalking. You do not have authority under the law. This is understanding and trickling down every aspect where that corrupt government that's keeping you under surveillance, and then the entity is literally of use in the courts, in the sheriff's departments, the facilities that the sheriff's departments maintain, where they're engaging in this demonic system, by the way, in concert with the people of the state in the form of literally the inmates. And this is all documented inside of the facilities where this entity repeatedly kidnapped me, making up information because I have never been a criminal. The entity is hostile and both fearful, but not fearful enough to cease to engaging it. The entity is fearful enough to obstruct justice to its own demise, because everyone affiliated with any act of obstruction of justice, like speaker companies representing the people of the state, they're all going to federal prison for that. The entity is maintaining engineered light, like you see inside on my bedroom walls. This is light, inexplicable light just appearing on my bedroom walls, while the light source is remaining outside of my living room window. And what am I documenting here? The fact that everybody that's living at Alvarado Gardens is also engaged in federal stalking on the venue of the internet. This is the facilitating venue where the sun is rising, remaining until sunset, which is not the natural environment. It is the direct evidence of federal group stalking and monitoring, for which everyone goes to federal prison. This just so happens to be a property that only has 59 units. If it had, let me be clear, 200 units, everybody's going to federal prison. But this is speaking to what is the property itself. Everybody's going to serve time in federal prison for engaging in what is group stalking with the state of California, engaging with 24-hour criminal surveillance, terrorism, and also corporate invasion of privacy, federal stalking on the venue of the internet, and then seeking to obstruct justice while threatening the ability, while they're monitoring me in the workplace, that same third party, the people of the state, speaking on behalf of the state, by the way, exercising fictitious authority while they're engaged in group stalking, wanting to literally proscribe speech. I mean, absurd, just absurd, but it's criminal. You're going to federal prison for that. Threatening employment as a third party, engaging in the pattern of conduct, facilitating the state's pattern of conduct. Literally, the workplace is the specific environment. You're going to federal prison for that. This is the same entity. This is not sunlight that's appearing on my floor. It's still on my floor. This is captured at what was 7:57 in the morning. It's 9 o'clock. This is speaking to stationary maintenance of presence inside of a private space, which is within the pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring. It's still here. And again, the time is 9:50 in the morning. Starting this video at 9:42. And I want you to look at the light source that is indeed over me in LA, pursuant to a pattern of conduct, not pursuant to the operation of nature. Okay, and this is where it remains, by the way, for the duration of the day, which is how I'm capturing a sunset after 6 p.m. Where the light source is remaining over me. So this is where I'm at 9:42, the same time I'm starting this video. The light source is going nowhere. This is all engineered light that's covering all of the property. This entire population is going to be prosecuted for engaging in terrorism in the state of California. The state of California is engaged in criminal surveillance, and it is indeed group stalking. All right, the most pathetic posture that an American government can be caught in, and then engaging in what is absolutely just despicable. This corrupt government is then seeking to, within the pattern of conduct as I've shown, engaged in multiple acts seeking to obstruct justice, which is relevant to the pattern of conduct of the corrupt government that engages in group stalking, federal group stalking and monitoring, both in relevant position and on the venue of the internet. This is massive surveillance that's occurring online on the venue of the internet. Let me be clear. Any website you're going to, it's the people of the state, and it's that address, if you will, such as 1826 Lobdell Place. That address is whatever website you're on, such as Facebook or Reddit, where the people of the state, by the way, are engaging in speech that is attributed to the state. This is exactly where the state is present, group stalking you in relevant position and online, and everything that the state utters, serving to criminally defame, everything that the state utters with regard to any threats, with regard to any harassment, the people of the state and the state are going to be prosecuted for that, and that is also documented. The entity is not only following you in real time and all around you, but following you online and seeking to obstruct justice in that manner as well. This is the light source that's remaining over me, and this is the video as what I captured at 9:42 in the morning. I'm in Los Angeles at 1826 Lobdell. When you're looking at this light source, this is not the sun that would be, as you see in this video above, over my head at 215 EC Street in Ontario, California. This is fake sun right here over me. All right, this is speaking to what is absolutely impossible, okay? I am looking out of the living room window in Los Angeles. My address, again, is 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6. I am looking in the same sky space at third-party facilitating venue, heavily documented group stalker, 1826 Lobdell Place in Los Angeles, California. Let me be clear, it's no matter of rocket science that there is no sun that's going to be over 1826 Lobdell Place while it's directly over my head at 215 EC Street in Ontario, California. And accordingly, there is no sunlight that's going to touch anywhere over the property. None of this is sunlight that's touching all over the property of 1826 Lobdell Place, while the light source, at the same time is maintaining this same presence that you see while I'm in LA, out looking outside of my living room window, and it's over my head in the same manner at 215 East C Street, the Ontario Ovitt Family Community Library. But it is within the pattern of conduct, because what I'm documenting on this day at the Ovitt Family Community Library is the state that is indeed stalking in helicopter, seeking to avoid being captured in video. Nonetheless, that amplified audible activity of helicopter while that light source is directly over my head, where I remain documenting the P.O.C. at the same library well into the evening, which is what I've been documenting before today. I'm showing you the sunset at the Ovitt Family Community Library. I'm showing you the group stalking in your face by that state surrounding with police vehicles under the guise of, oh, the people of the state have an event at the Ontario Town Square. They're group stalking, and that fake sun is present still after 6 o'clock in the evening at the same exact address. This is on this day, June 16, 2022, this entity engaged in kidnapping. And there are very specific actors that are going to federal prison for what it engaged in as an entity. Me, Lim, and the people of the state at 1826 Lobdell Place are going to be federally prosecuted for engaging in state terrorism. And part of their criminal system included kidnapping, as it was documented on June 16, 2022. The entity acts as one. Now, the specific actor that's acting on behalf of the entity, that third party and or state actor are going to federal prison. All right, and everybody engaging in that system together. So you're looking at this light source. I want to make sure you can see that. Yeah, that's not over, this right here is not over 215 East C Street. It's right over me, right here, where I'm looking at everybody that's group stalking in relevant position by address, where you've seen the entity stalking for 47 minutes flying in a circle. Oh, they were all providing that evidence against themselves, while the hillside is covered in engineered light, not sunlight, that's going to be present after 6 o'clock in the evening, where you're looking at the light source still here at 9 o'clock in the morning. That was P.O.C. That's called foolishness. That's called the defeated, okay, by the demon-possessed, the psychopaths that provide evidence to their own demise. All right, while that which is not sunlight is covering all over my walls and my ceiling inside of my bedroom, which no one forgets. But this is the P.O.C. on June 16th.
Family Community Library. Alan, who's group stalking inside of the library with the Ontario police who are stalking by helicopter, okay? This is P.O.C. That's the Ontario Police Department flying over, and this is the fake sun. You can hear the helicopter flying right here over the senior center in relevant position, stalking. And they're flying right where the specific environment is, where the entity is keeping the fake sun over me.
Okay, so I want to make sure that you're recognizing the hallmarks. The entity is indeed stalking in helicopter, which is the ongoing pattern of conduct. The LAPD represents the state of California, where the state's engaged in criminal surveillance. LAPD is playing its role that every terrorist organization masquerading as law enforcement agencies in the state of California are engaging in. These demons in California, they like to use helicopters to stalk you. And that is showing, by the way, and I'm speaking to the federal government, speaking to the federal judge that's going to review all this evidence and with regard to sentencing and charges. The use of helicopters is that which is directly intended to terrorize and torment, and that which is exceeding the intent to harass. That's beyond the intention to harass. All right. There are multiple areas of law where the government can be prosecuted for this. It's a public nuisance. It's a violation of my quiet enjoyment. It is massive facilitation. The fact that the government is not only stalking you in helicopters, which is shown as a matter of fact because of the specific environment, you're stalking under the fake sun. And you're a demon stalking under the fake sun. And you're doing so in a helicopter with the specific desire, that is a demented appetite to terrorize. And let me put it in layman's terms, you are trying to scare the crap out of someone. That's what you're trying to do. And you think that you can do it and no one else is going to believe that American citizen, that target individual. That level of malice is inhumane. That's a threat to the public. This is shown through what are multiple law enforcement agencies who are actually terrorist organizations acting in concert with minor children, just like they are in third world countries. And they would like to be seen as dignified professionals serving and protecting. And actually, they are no different than the animals that are engaging in terrorism on the opposite side of the globe, killing people and training even those under the age of majority to train people and use weapons and terrorize other people for whatever cause that they do it so, for whatever reason that they engage in such causes. But as we know here, those that are not out of your mind, those of you that are not demon possessed, those of you that are, in other words, are not psychopathic, you have what is the ability to recognize what is inhumane, what is unnatural, what is abnormal. Okay, and this is shown through not only the fact that the entity is indeed, as a matter of fact, the pattern of conduct is fully surrounding what the entity is doing, but the fact that the ongoing heavy helicopter activity, it's nothing other than stalking. The entity doing so for 47 minutes right here where this light source still remains This is speaking to what is unmistakable intention to torment and terrorize, both not only with regard to group stalking, engaging in elements of monitoring, but also psychologically. All right, and that's revealing the mental illness of those demons that make up law enforcement agencies that are terrorist organizations, and that's exactly how they're going to be treated when they are exposed and prosecuted, and literally by name, individualized, because the world needs to, and the nation needs to recognize what is not under any circumstances going to be tolerated. It's not going to be handled in a hush-hush manner so that people's privacy, no. The entity that is engaging in what is literally making the whole life and what should be private matter of an American citizen, it's a matter of public information. In that same way, justice is going to be massive information for the nation to consume with regard to what the federal government is punishing and what the federal government and what no American citizen has a right to deal with, to tolerate. You have a right to not be subject to it. And it is absurd to suggest that justice is anyway not going to be commensurate with the crime exacted by that corrupt government. Publicly, you want to violate and torment. Publicly, you're going to be prosecuted. Publicly, your information with regard to who you are and the threat that you pose, it's going to be public, okay? And this is a matter of by the way, with regard to what you are addressing, which is demon possession, the presence of Satan, the ability for Satan to use the government in America, which is a threat to the future of this nation. As you're learning federal group stalking and monitoring, it's letting you know why it is relevant with regard to who people in this country serve, who they bow down to. All right, literally the state of the union. All right, it's in the hands of who it is we choose to bow to, who it is we choose to serve. It affects us as a nation. I want to be clear, the entity is doing so, and justice is going to be served. It shall be commensurate with the threat posed, with the crime engaged in. All right, and this is the entity stalking in helicopter with the light source, not the sun, directly over my head. And it remains here at 10:29 in the same way that it remains right here at 10:29 in the morning. There's no sun over the Ovitt Family Community Library. All right, that's not regular flight in a helicopter. The ongoing pattern, the stalking on its face is shown by the Ontario Police Department by virtue of frequency, following literally from place to place, and it doesn't change because the entity did it in helicopters. The only ability for these terrorist organizations to get away with it is because you have what are the people of the state that are cooperating. They're not complaining about some disruption to or any public nuisance or quiet enjoyment violation because they're group stalking with the state. And you have the corrupt courthouses that are under no circumstances going to entertain that because they are facilitating that same pattern of conduct. In California, stalking in helicopters is how they engage in the pattern of conduct. That's why, but it's stalking on its face in helicopters. And the entity has already documented that, and it's also occurring in the specific environment where there's no shared sky space, and that's how you recognize what is crossing the path. That is Silverview Townhomes engaging in a sex offense on video while the light source is over me, and that's how you are identifying what is stalking. And the entity that wants to engage in group stalking in the shoes of the state, in your face, that's grounds of federal prison, by the way, and it's also grounds for what is an irreducible and inevitable federal prosecution, and all 35 units at Silverview are going to be prosecuted for engaging in terrorism. That's what this whole population is engaging in. Engineer light, the light source, it's covering, remaining over me, and they're all group stalking by address. That's why you have the unnatural environment focused on my location. This is why you have the stalking in helicopters, the amplified audible activity, the demons that are living on the grounds, engaging in an ongoing chorus with regard to their ongoing corporate invasion of privacy, a bunch of sex offenders, maintaining psychotic levels of noise while they are doing so in engineered light that's on my walls and my ceiling. This is all manner of a psychotic environment. Terrorism, as the people of the state are going to be prosecuted for the terrorists and the sex offenders and the group stalkers that they are. All right, so this is the entity stalking in helicopters I'm documenting on this day, and you're looking at what is absolutely impossible, that the sun is over the Ovitt Family Community Library. And by the way, as a matter of documentation, remaining at the Ovitt Family Community Library well after 6 p.m., as I've documented even before June 16, 2022. The Ontario Police Department were engaged in a pattern of repeating coming to this location at nightfall, as I documented the light source as I walked outside of the library after 6. And that light source was right there. By the way, not over me, in alignment to my apartment here at 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6, where now you're seeing the sunset through my bedroom window after 6 p.m. All right, that's the pattern of conduct. That's the prosecution of the people of the state. All right, and this is the entity that is maintaining this light source, and I will return because you're going to look at video of what that entity that's stalking in helicopters, engaging in ongoing group stalking, then arrives in relevant position pursuant to criminal summoning by the people of the state, making up information while they are monitoring you, seeking to obstruct justice, because the reality is that these demons are very fearful about what you know and what you're exposing about them, but they engage in more criminal activity as opposed to ceasing to engage, and as opposed to taking heed, taking a warning as to what perhaps is no longer going to be concealed, as opposed to what is no longer going to be secret, as opposed to taking into account perhaps this is no longer permitted here on earth. Not taking heed to that, but engaging in more criminal conduct. That's what the entity responded to. That's what these demons engaged in, and they're going to serve consequences here in the natural, here on earth for that, for the criminal conduct that they engaged in. And this was a kidnapping in concert with the people.
Is over my head.
They're
They're monitoring at Wells Fargo, the entity flying over me by helicopter.
So I want you to see, this is the parking garage right here. That parking garage is where I've shown you as I step outside of the, this library in the evening, and the light source is hovering directly over the top of it, which is non-movement of the sun. Which is by virtue of that language, that's not the sun. And it is in direct conflict with suggesting that this would be the sun, which you already know on its face. 6:55 in the morning yesterday, and it is it's 10:03. There's no sun that's going to still be in this position. There's no sun that's still going to be in alignment to me, as though the sun is setting through my bedroom window inside of the same apartment at the same address, never being anywhere near 215 East C Street in Ontario, California. That's speaking to what is stalking with an environment, stalking in the environment amongst an entire population, and the terrorist organizations calling themselves law enforcement agencies are acting directly where the people of the state are acting vicariously together, engaging in what is absolutely demonic, and it is group stalking. They're also engaged in federal stalking on the venue of the internet in violation of Title 18. It is currently 10:04 a.m. This is P.O.C.